Guys, Gavin and Dennis here, and today we're going to cover building dashboards and building software in general. And if you've never built software before, this is a great opportunity to learn. A lot of people waste a lot of money trying to build software as entrepreneurs, but they don't understand things like this 3-tier architecture I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show through examples of stuff that we've built for huge companies like Nike and Billie Jean. And Gavin will ask questions along the way.
Yeah, Dennis is the expert here. I'm the student, so I'm excited to learn. And yeah,
So I built some software for these huge companies and starting from Yahoo 20 some years ago. And you're going to see there's the same framework. Now, this is independent of whether you're using Perl or PHP, Python, Angular, JS, Go, whatever your favorite flavor is. This is about building things that actually collect data and actually do things. So Billie Jean came to me a few years ago and he said, Billie Jean, he's huge.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
billions of views. And he said, I'm making all these fun videos and all this, and I'm spending a few $100,000 a month on ads, but I don't really know what's profitable. I know in like general and profitable, but one day I could be down a couple $100,000 or maybe my churn rate's higher, or this new campaign I launched is working or not working. I need a dashboard that can look at everything. So in the morning, I get a text message. It's like, okay, this is how much revenue you have. This is what the lifetime value is. This is what your profitability is. This is how many refunds you have. This is your top campaign, just a few simple things. And he thought that this was a matter of just what most people think. Let's just pull all this data from Stripe and Kajabi and ClickFunnels and Google ads and Facebook ads and just put it into a dashboard. Should be easy. Something might just take a day or two. Actually, that's not the case because for some reason, I think if I open this up, you actually see that these are all animated. I wonder, how do I do that? To go to slideshow mode? Maybe that'll work.
they're all like GIFs.
Yeah, these are all animated. If I can get them to work, whatever. So like anyone else, that's an info product seller or an agency or
Yeah,
selling stuff, you've got lots of systems. So it's systems for communicating, for buying ads, for CRM stuff, for processing payments. There's also organic and paid social. So he's across all these channels. And you guys remember he did a Facebook ads course, a YouTube program, a Start Your Agency program. But regardless, we want to put in 3 layers. And this kind of wedding cake 3-tier architecture is something that you're going to see often. So this first layer is this data source. So let's get all the data he has in the one place, all these different systems. A lot of them have APIs. Some of them you can use Zapier, some of them you can scrape, some of them you have to build your own integrations to get that data all in one place. And then that middle logic layer is where you're doing calculations. So this is metadata, formulas, calculating profit, calculate just business logic and rules that are from the raw data all the way up. And then the UI layer is where you're displaying it. That's the application where people are clicking on things. Maybe they're buying things. We have internal people, they're doing reporting, we're refunding people. Customer service people are using the application to integrate with the logic layer, which actually does stuff, the application layer, all the way down to the data layer. So anything that goes in and out where a human has to talk to the underlying database goes through the UI. Because people don't want to program, want to click on a button inside an app, on a web page, that kind of thing. So you have these 3 different layers and they're separated. So let's say we wanted to build a new UI. Well, we don't have to rebuild the actual application itself, which is where all the processing occurs. And we don't have to rebuild the underlying databases and all the sources. Likewise, if we have this 3-tier architecture, if we wanted to integrate TikTok ads, we could. That would just be another data source that plugs in and it fits in the overall model. We'd have to adjust our formulas. Let's say calculating total spend. It'd be Facebook plus Google plus email plus whatever plus TikTok. So we'd have to have that other source. So other formulas and whatnot can adjust in this logic layer, independent of how it looks in the UI, like where all the buttons are, landing pages, independent of what happens on the bottom. So this is an extensible 3-tier architecture, pretty standard.
yeah.
Right? Okay. So we put all this data in here that Billie Jean had. And whenever you start building things, if you ever build something like this, you're going to always come into a situation where they say, oh yeah, it's really easy. I have all the access. Everything's already working. It never is. It's always a disaster. There's always stuff that's wrong. The logins are wrong. They keep changing, which breaks our systems because then we're using a certain login and then the password isn't working. So it doesn't bring in the data. So then we're miscounting because the data's not coming through. Or there's other systems they didn't even realize they needed to use. So this whole thing about getting the data into one place in the data layer is actually more work than you'd imagine. It's actually the most amount of work, surprisingly. Least amount of value, most amount of work. It's just ugly getting all the data in one place. Middle layer, that application logic layer, That's when we're calculating profit. That's when we're associating money that's being spent on a new campaign. Okay, start your agency, whatever it is, whatever the name of the new campaign is, right? Oh, we'll submit press releases for you. Whatever it is, associating the profit with the cost, and then the customers that are associated with that, and then rolling it up, which means aggregating it to the total. So in the UI, you can display how you want to look at your business by geography, by who's the most profitable sales agent, by how many leads are coming in, by where the phone calls are. You can put it onto a map. You can do pie charts, whatever kinds of ways of looking at the data.
Yeah. Also,
Oh, our thing died.
That's okay.
Hang on.
No worries. I can pause it quick too. But
Okay.
yeah, but here,
It doesn't even exist. All right. So this architecture, you can see it works for any kind of software you want to build.
yeah,
A lot of people think you need a high level or ClickFunnels, or any software you look at is going to be using this same kind of architecture in some way, no matter what kind of code they have. They just have different data that's coming in the data layer, different things that's going on, which is the application layer, and then different ways of looking at it. And white label software is really just data layer, application layer, and then a slightly different UI, which is a different logo on the website. But
that's the same.
That's like how you resell the same software and make lots and lots of money.
Yeah.
So the software that we build, for example, let's say we build it for Tony of Longline Marketing, for his agency, he can sell it to all the other agencies.
Yeah.
The stuff we built for Liquivita, working for all the 30 locations and 60 and 90 locations, anyone else who has a health clinic or med spa, whatever, could use the same.
Yeah, that uses blood work, essentially, those blood work reports. And correct me if I'm wrong, all software is just code, right? Like at its base.
All software, that's a really smart observation. It's rules for computers.
Yeah.
It's telling a computer, when this one thing comes in, process it a certain way.
Yeah.
Like charge somebody for it.
Yeah.
Or credit their account 5 more whoopies inside the game, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so it's just an instruction set, rules, code, logic is software.
Yeah.
But the same is true for humans. If you have humans that are in a call center and they're answering phones, you're giving them rules, SOPs, procedures on how they need to do.
Exactly.
If you're Uber and you've got all these people that are driving their cars, all telling them what to do, that's process. So process, or SOPs for humans, is the same thing as code for computers, because they're rules.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So if you can develop rules on exactly what has to happen, you're a programmer.
Yeah. That's only what. So you would technically be a programmer?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
You're a programmer. I call that being an architect.
Yeah. I always figured you'd have to have some official background on it, because that's the interesting thing about being in the agency space is the hardest part of it isn't actual, it's service delivery, but the delivery in it is scaling humans. That's what makes it hard. Because if you know what works, it's like, okay, we can just do this. But that's the cool part about software is you're essentially just scaling the SOPs almost flawlessly. Of course, nothing's 100% efficient, but way more than, hey, follow this SOP, and then no one follows it, or you have to enforce them. Then you have to enforce positive action and make things happen for negative actions. Okay, that's cool. So it's just software, that code that will tell somebody.
It's rules for what happens when data comes in.
Yeah.
Add it up in this way, put it over here, send an email to Billy, or send an alert, like we're losing money, turn this campaign off.
Yeah.
It's just rules. It's logic.
Yeah.
And when we think about SOPs for humans, what makes a great SOP? One that's specific enough that they can follow directions so they're not confused. And it accounts for the ways they may try to mess things up.
Yeah.
What happens if people don't show up? What happens if they overcharge somebody? What happens if they run off with money? All the things that could go wrong. So a really good programmer who's writing code using whatever their favorite application, whatever, Perl, PHP, whatever language, is exactly the same as a good business logic, business strategy person. Because in both cases, we're thinking about what are all the things that could go wrong, and let's design rules. It's like designing a video game so that people can't cheat you.
Yeah. So question on that too. And we don't have to spend a lot of time on this because I know it's not super important for the overall strategy, but just on the technical aspect, you have different stuff. You hear Python, CS, HTML. We talked about a few others.
Yeah, lots of languages.
Yeah. So when you're looking to accomplish something, how do you choose? Is it almost like, what's my favorite language and let me make it work for this? Or is it, hey, here's the problem. Which language should we choose from to solve this problem? If that makes sense.
It works either way. So you want to dig up your garden? You can use a shovel. You can use a backhoe. You can use a fork, and you could use So there's no one tool that's necessarily better, because let's say we were playing golf. Tiger Woods with the rusty, used $5 club from the Salvation Army could beat you with the brand new set of pink, Titleist, whatever clubs, right?
Yeah.
Or Da Vinci with Crayola crayons could beat me with
Yeah.
the fanciest set of paintbrushes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's not the tool, it's the user. That being said, whoever is the business owner, the one who's paying for it, they may have a preference. And if they really want it to be built in PHP, then we'll build it in PHP.
Yeah.
And there's people that are good at PHP.
Yeah.
But some people, they really want to use Go, and Golang is their favorite thing to do because that's how they've been doing it. And if they're your engineer and you're really loyal to them and they're your employee, then they can build it in Golang if they want. And someone like me, I'm a little older, I might prefer doing it in Perl because I've done Perl for a long time.
Yeah.
And with Perl, the joke is you can do everything, which is true. You can build anything. So it's not the tool. It's whoever the user is, and do they understand the logic? Understanding business logic is the most important thing. And as you'll see here, as we go through this, understanding exactly what has to happen from the user standpoint and why the user needs to click on this or do that. Understanding, like if we're doing something for a digital marketing agency and how they're onboarding clients, and the work then goes to the VAs or designers or WordPress people or article writers, understanding it from a business standpoint creates the business logic, which then drives the rules for the computers and drives the rules for the users.
Yeah.
So SOPs and code. Same.
Yeah. You have to have the vision of how things actually work. And then this is all just the form of delivering on.
Yeah. So great programmers understand that. Okay. So there's a login, and we won't reinvent the wheel on what happens in a login and reset your password. Now we've reskinned this in many different ways. So this is similar to Nike.blitzmetrics.com, Billie Jean, Ashley Furniture.
Yeah.
And then we'll put their face, as you can see on here.
Yeah.
They look nice, their logos, and it's ridiculous how clients care about those kinds of things. But you just do it anyway, even though it's not even 1% of what.
Yeah, it doesn't actually matter.
When you get to the dashboard, in this case, our home screen, we're showing total revenue and how many members we have. Of course, those go together. Net of cancellations, net of refunds, net of whatever's the most important metric that people want to be able to see. And in the UI, we can choose whatever we want. They can say, instead of making it blue, let's make it green.
Yeah.
Let's make it bar charts. Let's add this third thing here saying how many agents we have. Let's what the most popular courses are. Like, there's so many different ways that you can recombine the data that you have to be able to display it in a certain way.
Yeah.
Like the Golden State Warriors, they wanted to see how many tickets they're selling for their top games, how many season ticket holders they have, how many corporate members they have, how much merch they have, what's the parking revenue.
So you guys build software for them, like to show that? Really cool.
Yeah, we build dashboards for Nike and Red Bull and the Warriors and Ashley and Quiznos and
So
Lego, all these guys.
why is software usually so expensive? Because we were talking earlier and talking about you can build some like really like good software for not a whole lot of money. If you're going to pay somebody you always hear like you have to give the developer equity, or it costs like $150,000 at least to build something decent. And why is that?
Let's apply Occam's razor. Why do you think that is?
I'm thinking it's because there's people who know something that the person who's wanting to pay them knows. They know what they want, but they know nothing about how to get there, essentially. So there's a big knowledge deficit. And there's also a skill deficit. Clearly, there's not a lot of people who know that. They can, A, charge a lot of money, but B, also a lot of times unethically even say, oh, this is going to be all so complicated, whatever. Yeah. Like, okay, I guess that's right. I think it's a mix of both, but that's just a pure guess.
Yeah, that's right. One is because the underlying customer doesn't understand what they're buying, so you can overcharge them. Just like a mechanic.
Oh, yeah.
The sale. Oh, you're going to have to replace a transmission and you're low on blinker fluid.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying all engineers or all technical people are scammers. Like, I like to think all SEO people are like scammers.
Yeah.
Because they're overcharging relative to what? To the delivery and the results.
Yeah.
So second thing, the biggest thing is that there's such a gap between the people with the technical skills to do the building and then whoever has an idea of what they want. So when we were meeting with Sam, he thought, I wanted to build this whole AI driven, like people love to use these buzzwords like
AI. Yeah. The one,
And I looked at his stuff and I said, based on what you're trying to build, you need just simple Boolean regular expressions, right?
Yeah.
Simple logic of this, then that, based on the formula. You don't need AIs. You don't need giant databases. This is not Cambridge Analytica. This is not TikTok's newsfeed. Trying to figure out what to show, like facial recognition, like none of that kind of stuff. Very simple. Here's the blood work. If your cholesterol's over 130, then here's something you need to do. That's simple.
Yeah.
If this formula is true, then this is the recommendation.
Yeah.
If this more complex formula that's based on combining your cholesterol and your age and your testosterone and your blood sugar, if this and this and this minus that is greater than 25, then recommend this.
Yeah.
So the formulas can get more complicated, but the actual logic that's being implemented in the majority of software going forward, which is a whole nother discussion, but
Yeah.
software that's being built today, there's actually less on infrastructure, on databases, on computation, on all the technical kinds of things. And you don't really need that. And it's all increasingly in your head and what the rules are and understanding that at the architect level. That's why we can build the software reasonably quickly.
It makes sense. It kind of reminds me of, for something like that, it reminds me a bit of Google Sheets. And
Yes.
yeah, like almost like you get the data, and clearly Google Sheets doesn't automatically grab it, which is something that's unique of it. But yeah, then you could add the formulas. If this is greater than that, say this word here, or you recommend this phrase, which the phrase would be needs more vitamin C, right? And recommended seconds.
And you can do macros in Excel. There's all kinds of different ways to make a sheet more interactive and to automatically, let's say every day, go pull all this data.
Yeah.
So that's where you have Zapiers and these other tools. Like Data Studio does allow you to do that. So you can almost make Google Sheets or Microsoft Access an application.
Yeah.
I would say the one thing that people miss on this is